All right, good morning, everyone. This is the Monday morning prepping the objective. Thank you for being here. I know a few other people will join, and I have a much, I guess you would say, a prettier version of me. Can I say that? Or at least something of that kind. So I invited my daughter, since her and my grandson are here with us in Bend for about what, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or something like that. So she actually drove all the way from Angel Fire, New Mexico, in her, is it called Land Cruiser, Land Rover, whatever?
I have a 100 series.
A 100 series Lexus that basically is, it looks like it can crawl over everything, and it's got a pop-up tent on the top of it. And she does all these kind of long range campouts where they go out in the middle of nowhere, and she'll send me a GPS coordinate, and that's the only thing that she can tell me that she's at, because there's no roads. In fact, even the park rangers come up on her and my grandson out there in the middle of nowhere and want to make sure that she's got enough fuel to get to the other side of the wilderness that they have somehow found themselves in. So makes me a little nervous sometimes when she sends me GPS coordinates only, and whatever, Google Maps doesn't even have it on there. So anyway, I'm glad to have her here. And so I thought, when we were sitting there having lunch yesterday, I said, hey, I've got a great call tomorrow with people that I call my family as well. They're authors and people that have been in my Pathfinder group and stuff like that. And I said, why don't we jump on there and let you talk about what you've used to help you be an incredible mother? Because I've got my, she's got her super toddler, which is my grandson, sitting over here watching his iBook. So a very busy, very energetic 3, almost 4-year-old. So we've had a good time taking him out. If you've seen some of the pictures on Facebook and Instagram, we've been, what was that mountain we went up in the other day?
We went at the Sisters Summit to Moraine Lake.
And it was, had a lot of good snow. Good morning, Sabrina. Thank you for joining us. So we jumped in there and did that was a pretty good hike. Was it 5 miles round trip?
5 miles.
5 miles and about what, 1,400 feet of elevation?
Yeah.
And so we got up there, and obviously we were carrying the pack. So the critter, we were taking turns carrying him up. And then when we got to the top and realized that the rest of the trail, there was nothing broken in the snow for it. So we decided that was quite a bit of wilderness to be out there with just the 3 of us, even with bear spray and my trusty knife. And so we decided to roll back around and go back. And what was interesting is going back was actually more difficult than coming up, because everything was snow and slick and slushy. And so we were trying to make sure, going over the rocks and all that kind of stuff, we had to go down. It took us probably longer to get down than it did up, didn't it? I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, probably quite a bit. So we had a good trail dog with us. But anyway, I wanted to just give her a chance to kind of share with you. You know, you hear a lot of my philosophy, and you hear a lot of the concepts of what we talk about here with the Rubicon system. How do you prep the objective? How do you begin every one of your days with a perspective of gratefulness? Focusing on what you can be grateful for changes your mental capabilities, your mindset, and increases your productivity. If you do this before every meeting with other people, you get a 31% boost in productivity, because you focus your mind on something positive. And that positivity, if you follow Dr. Sean Achor at Harvard, his research over 12 years found that that's where that 31% increase happened, because you're focusing on positive things. You're beginning with a positive perspective, and that creates happiness inside of you when you focus on gratefulness. And that happiness, instead of the negativity that we find so much on news channels and every other place in our life, helps us have better productivity and better impact in our world. That's what we're all here for. So I'm not trying to put my daughter on the spot, but I'm going to put her on the spot. And I thought it would be a good, fun opportunity for us to kind of talk about not only how does she, deal with a very, very energetic toddler, and how has she gone through her triathlete training. Some of you saw me at Milwaukee. We were there, what, 3 months ago? Was it 2 months? 3 months?
I think longer.
Yeah, it's about let's say 3 months ago. Yeah, July, something like that. So we went there, and I saw her do, 800 meters in the water. And then how much on the cycle?
A 0.8 mile swim, 25-mile bike, and a 10K run.
Come see this.
And
at Nationals.
And she did at the Nationals at Milwaukee. She did all that in 3 hours and 35 minutes. So I was there 33 minutes. Okay, so we'll make specific that we get the time right. So I thought there were some interesting points that I wanted to bring up, because in the middle of this, when she was out there in the water during the first, I see, Steve, you said major upgrade. Thank you for that. And that was really good in the comments. So I thought there was an interesting point where I was actually waiting at the end of the water, the swim. And I kept waiting and waiting. And somehow I thought, well, somehow my daughter must have got past me. And I was sitting there at the finish line of the swim. And so I thought somehow she got around me in the middle of all the crowd and people coming out of the water and already gone to the cycle. So I left. And what I didn't know until later after she had finished the race is that she had run into an extreme problem in the water. So I'm gonna let you talk about that and talk about the attitude and the mindset that it took to continue.
So in triathlon, if the water is less than 78 degrees, it can be wetsuit legal. So the water was cold, but it wasn't super cold outside. So trying to decide if we were going to wear wetsuits or not, things like that. 95% of the athletes had opted to wear wetsuits that day. I was one of them. And I almost immediately got overheated in the water. So I was really slowing down because it was just way too hot. My face was hot. Every time I was putting it down into the water to do a stroke, it was just like stinging my cheeks. So there's a bunch of volunteers out there on kayaks to assist and help whenever somebody's looking like they're over fatigued or that they're struggling in the water, so that they can pull you out. So I actually was asked multiple times if I wanted to get in a kayak, was I done? Did I need to come out of the water? And I said no, that I just needed to get my wetsuit off. So somehow managed to float and swim and strip off my neoprene wetsuit in the water, and I was able to give it to a volunteer. I didn't make ourselves. Sorry, my kid's going crazy over there. And finish the swim. But it did definitely add some delay to stop swimming in the water, to pull that off and not drown. So,
well, I think what's important about that is you ran into a huge obstacle. The entire heat that you were in obviously left you because, so you're in the water, you've got basically volunteers there, but they're basically refs. And so if she had come out of the water, she would have automatically been disqualified, and all the training that she had done for months and months and actually years in front of that would have been dropped, because this was the next level of the competition that she was at for moving up into the Ironman type of level. So you had done different stages. So this stage that she was at, if you come out of the water, automatic disqualification. So at that point, most people would have quit. They're overheating. They can't figure out how to do it. They got this super hot. You want to say hi to everybody? You want to say hi? So this is super tight. So you would have, most people would have quit. So the mindset in there, when you had the refs pulling up to you saying, hey, come on, get out of the water. It's over. You can't finish this. You can't take your uniform or that, whatever is it? The wetsuit off while you're in the water. Is very difficult because you're trying to float and take this thing off that's basically stuck to you. What went through your mind at that point?
I knew I was a really strong swimmer. So I knew that if I could just get this off, I could make up time. Typically the swim was my best sport of the three. So knowing that it was going to be slower than I had estimated, and knowing that it was going to be not my best swim, I knew that I would still be able to make ground and catch up if I could get the wetsuit off.
Okay, so let's look at this. Let's jump backwards now. So you're at the actual competition. You're trying to make your best time. You know the clock is ticking, and you've run into a major obstacle. So you're using your mindset to push through the obstacle. But the mindset right there was not where it started. the mindset for you to push through the difficulty actually started not just weeks earlier, not months earlier, but actually years earlier. So let's go back to when this little guy, after he showed up, you decided to become a triathlete. Tell me about that early stage when you began that idea, and why in the heck, with you being a new mother, why would you decide to also embark on this idea of also doing these overland adventures and decide to be a triathlete and start training for it? So why?
So
are you crazy like me? First of all,
yes.
That's the thing I want to know. So we come from a crazy family. Okay. So
I was born crazy.
So why would you jump into
a little bit of nature, a little bit of nurture. So I had a really hard pregnancy, a really hard labor and delivery, and just was really struggling with motherhood the first couple of months. I ended up having a C-section. So when I finally did get cleared for exercise at 12 weeks postpartum, I couldn't do a single sit-up. My muscles and my nerves and everything were so destroyed at that point that I couldn't even do one physical sit-up. No matter how much my brain willed, and I know that I could do sit-ups before, I just, where I was in my life, I could not will my body to do one. So I started there. I had a newborn who very much needed me, and I wanted to prove to my son that I was strong and that I was more than just Eli's mom. Being Eli's mom is awesome and it's fabulous, but Eli's mom is not exactly how I always want my son to remember me. So I wanted to prove to him that I was strong, and I wanted to prove to myself that I was stronger than what had happened. So about 10 months postpartum, I started training for my first sprint triathlon, and just to prove to myself that A, I could do it, B, I can make time for me. I was really struggling in that new phase of my life to have self-care, struggling to make time for showers.
Right.
So we had a lovely gym. I had 2 hours of childcare that I could go in there and I could work on me, and I could get a shower, and then I could come back and be more productive at home. I could be more patient with my son,
right,
and I could have more energy to do all of the middle of the night wake up calls with him.
Sure.
So it kind of like domino effect into other portions of my life, because I had my purpose of training. It gave me something for me that motivated me. And then it also filled my cup so that I was able to pour back into my son and my husband and family. And
what's interesting though is that doesn't make logical sense. Okay. So, and I want to kind of unbox that a little bit, because most everyone that has been through the Rubicon system or done any type of coaching with, they always have, very similar excuses. Okay. I don't have enough time to do that extra stuff, Steve. I don't have enough time to do the prepping the objective. I don't have that time to do mindset training. Steve, I don't have time to go out there and try to figure out how to do one pull up on the bar or one push up on the deck or run to the end of the block. Okay. I'm too busy. And so the reason why I thought it was good to kind of do this interview is because here's someone, whether you're, anyone that has been a mom, okay, I've never been a mom, been a dad, but when she was little, okay, I remember when she showed up and then her brother showed up 3 years later. And I remember, how busy it is. So everyone that's been a parent knows how busy it is when you have children, especially little ones at the house. They have all the questions and they constantly have that level of care that you're constantly watching over them, making sure they're not getting into something that's going to get hurt. They're not able to care for themselves yet, where you can let go of them and just forget about them for a couple hours and they'll be okay. So you're constantly, hovering to some extent. So when that's happening, it's very similar to how you could talk about, being in a startup business where you constantly are there having to pay attention to every element. You're wearing, 2 or 3 or 5 different caps in the business because you're having to do everything. So you don't have the ability to delegate. And so I hear those same excuses from most people that say, oh, I can't succeed because ... And they give me that excuse. I don't have enough time. I can't condition. I don't have the ability to do training. And so this situation here, I wanted to bring up because number one, she'd gone through a very difficult delivery with Eli with a C-section. So she was, from a functional standpoint, from a physical standpoint, she couldn't even do one sit-up. And at that point, you decided from a mindset standpoint, there was something that overtook you. You created a bigger mission than just, I want to do one sit-up. You created this bigger mission that said, I want to go do an Ironman triathlon. Have you ever done anything like that before?
No.
No. Okay. So she decided, she built this huge mission. There's the insanity. Okay. Right there. Okay. This huge, bigger than herself. And look at why she was doing it. Her why was she wanted to have this identity for not just, I want to be Eli's mom, but you wanted to have an identity for yourself. And that identity included what? You saw yourself, what, at a finish line? Or you saw yourself just achieving some level of something that sounded so difficult and so big that most people would have just said, you're nuts.
Well, most people say I'm nuts anyway. But I wanted him, when he was a grown-up, I wanted him to look back and say, you know, my mom was strong.
Mhm.
I also wanted him, when he was a grown-up, to learn that it's important to take care of yourself.
Mhm.
You know, if he sees me modeling those behaviors, then he'll replicate them. You know, even now he has weights in our gym at home
Mhm.
because he wants to work out with me. He wants to be with me while I'm training.
Sure. So
And
how far can he actually jog with you now? I've seen him out there on the trail.
he can do about 1.5 miles if properly motivated.
Right.
He'll do about 1.5 miles. But we've had him do up to like 4 miles in a day. On Easter, he was really
Motivated. Right?
motivated.
Right.
There was lots of chocolate involved.
Right.
He ran about 4 miles on the trail on Easter of our 7-mile hike.
Right.
And I mean, he ran.
Right.
So he's been around for a lot of the training.
Mhm.
You know, he was either in a jogging stroller when he was smaller.
Sure.
So he went on a lot of runs. He took a lot of naps in a stroller. And I have a carrier. So when I'm hiking, he hikes with us until he's tired. And then he gets on the back. And we just talk about how important it is that when we're tired, we rest, we don't stop.
Right. See that right there? There's mindset. When we're tired, we rest, we don't stop. That means we don't quit. You know, it's not dead, can't quit. You know, the same dog tag that, you know, wasn't he bringing up the other day, that the dog tag that he's like, why does Grumps? That's his nickname for me. Why does Grumps wear that dog tag? And it's all about mindset. You have to find, this is my talisman, as I've mentioned before, you have to find yours. You know, I have these challenge coins that sit right here on my mouse pad. And they're designed as for me to touch during the day when I'm getting tired and I need to refocus. Then I remember, why am I doing what I'm doing? And what she's saying right here is she has mantras that she's already incorporating into his mindset as a toddler. When they're out there, we got tired. And so he got on my back at one point, he got on your back, and we kept going up the mountain. If you saw the Facebook, we're up in the snow. We're up on the top of a mountain. And then we're having a lunch up there and doing the whole thing. We were breaking out. Well, he didn't have coffee, he had water, but my point is we made it an event. So it's part of a lifestyle. So as we get a chance, not just with our children, but all those people that are around us that we care about, is you set the standard, not by what you say, but by what you do. So his mom could be sitting here telling him all the time, oh, hey, you don't, when we get tired, we rest, we don't quit. But what's the better example? Don't tell him about it. Climb up in a freaking mountain, okay, where it's difficult. And he's on my back hearing me step up this mountain and grunting because my legs are on fire because they hurt so bad. But we're still moving forward because we have an objective. And the objective is the end point on the All Trails map. So this mindset that you have, that you're incorporating into him, is a similar kind of mindset that each of us as authority figures, as authors, that we can incorporate into other people. And it doesn't always have to be about what you say. It can be about your social media posts and even those things that people see in your local community. But the reason why, some people see me posting a lot of times is, you know, if you saw the post that I was doing with Eli doing pull-ups the other day, okay, he was doing one pull-up for the Marine Corps, and then he did an extra one for the Commandant, okay, and I sent that to my dad. Obviously, everybody knows he's a Marine, and he got a really great kick out of it. But it's, again, incorporating all those mindset ideas that when you do something, you're doing it for a awesome community like the Marine Corps, okay, or you're doing it for your country, or you're doing it for your local community, but you're doing these things and you're pushing yourself beyond what your limits are because you have this huge and bigger why, okay, we're wanting to make a bigger difference in the world. So let's go back to your training point. You started training. You had to go, you had to go through 3 levels triathlon. So I make a joke because she has a Peloton at her house. And you said your training per week was somewhere between 11 to 15 hours a week.
Not every week, but peak hours. So
Okay.
for triathlon, you have different training phases. You're not always going 1,000%. Your body will burn out.
Sure.
So you have build phases where you're just doing base endurance training,
Right.
getting the hours, getting the muscles into endurance cardio. And then when you're getting closer to your race, you have peak training. So peak training weeks can be anywhere between 11 and 15 hours of cardio, not including
Nutrition and planning and all
nutrition,
that. Sure.
foam rolling, massage,
Right.
all of that afterwards. 11 to 15 hours of physically working out.
Right.
So he's learned to be a part of a bunch of it. We put a life jacket on him when I'm in the pool swimming, and he, like I said earlier, the stroller, he goes.
You drag him. So she puts him in a life vest that she hooks to the back of her while she's swimming these Olympic laps in a pool. And most people will go, oh, I can't do this because, and then they would give you the excuse. So she straps a life vest on him, makes him part of her training routine. And he's not always up for it, but she just lets him know this is what we do. Okay. So drill instructor said, we get in the water, it's time to swim. And it's not maybe perfectly fun, but then she rewards him for, something he gets to do later.
Yeah.
But part of that, what I keep going back to is there are always the opportunity when you're conditioning for raising your hand and giving a good, logical, reasonable excuse. Hey, I had a C-section. I can't even do a sit-up. So I'm not going to do something crazy like try to train and compete in an Ironman. Whoa, wait a minute. That's what, quote, really top end athletes that have never had anything like a C-section or someone cut into you, okay, when you're delivering a baby, okay. But she didn't use that. She used it as an opportunity to build and say, I overcame this. So then she can now hand this example to her son down the road because he's going to run into difficulties and he's going to say, well, Mom, what have you ever done that was difficult? I'm in a difficult situation right now. How am I supposed to overcome this? And she will have the authority now because she's already done the difficult, hard thing we call the suck. Okay. She's done that thing that she embraced it. Okay. But she did it on a conditioning level. So as she's building up to this heat in the water where she got overheated and had to strip off this rubber suit basically in the water and continue to compete. Probably
was able to do it because I did swim laps with him on me.
Right.
There were sometimes, I can't do a front stroke with him on me, but I can do a back stroke and float him. Probably not anymore, but last year, maybe 2 years ago, I could do that.
Right.
I could put him on my stomach and swim on my back and still get laps in, so that when I was swimming without him and without my tether, it felt so much easier.
Sure.
To bike, I have a bike trailer that he goes in, and when you're biking up a hill with a bike trailer, plus now he's 37 pounds, when you do it without it, man, it's a breeze.
So it's the same kind of craziness as you see me going up the side of a mountain with 55 pounds of sand sack on my shoulder. So same family craziness. Okay, so we'll understand. So in years in the future, you can have one of those. Yeah. So years in the future, we hope to incorporate the same craziness into the next generation here, whether he's doing pull-ups or going up the side of a mountain or chasing a coyote out of his backyard or whatever. you have to be a little bit nuts. Okay, let's just talk about that for a second, because you've got a few minutes left here before we're done. And then I want to let any of you ask any questions. You can ask questions. It's going to be your great opportunity to ask questions of my daughter. But here's the thing. She did something that everyone else would have given her every nod that said, oh, you shouldn't do that. That doesn't make sense. That's probably not the super safest thing in the world to do. And yet she continues to go out there. And you were training for, what was the next level? Ironman, the half Ironman?
Half Iron.
So she's training for a half Iron. They moved the date because of COVID lockdowns or COVID itself in Tempe. So they moved it forward for a couple months. So the thing is in life, if we're going to achieve those things that are going to make a difference, that are going to allow us to matter, because I don't think the Creator put us here just to sit here and watch television or to sit here and play social media all day. It's an opportunity to make a difference and to test ourselves to see what we're made of. And what she's talking about is all of this training she's done to compete at the triathlon level as a triathlete has benefited her, has paid her dividends, because the extra hours and effort that she has done to condition herself mentally and physically has allowed her then to be able to hang out with this very busy toddler and all the other things of her life. Stay here with us. We're almost done.
We'll do it in just a minute.
So my point is when you sit there and think that you don't have time to do your training, you do have time, because it will pay you dividends, whether it's mental mindset training or physical training. It will come back and benefit you to allow you to do those things in your life that you need what? More energy and more focus for. So it doesn't take from you, it adds to you. See Steve there? Steve's waving at you. Can you wave back at Steve? No, here. He says no. Okay, so here, we've got a few minutes left. So I know we always spend time prepping the objectives, and our focus here is always to be grateful and jump into some of those things. I want to give you a chance, if you have any questions of Blaire, you can jump in here and ask her anything that you want to ask her. And I don't know if Eli will answer anything, but if you want to ask him a question too, you're welcome to. Anybody got any questions about her training or her mindset or what she did? No, everybody's good. Everybody's good. Okay, so we got a couple minutes.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, Lisa.
Yes, I just wanted to find out, what was your why to do the triathlon? Why did you decide?
So I wanted to choose something that was like a big feat. I don't love running, so I wanted something, marathon caliber, that was going to be a big goal, something that I could really work to, not something that I was going to be able to achieve instantly. I could probably go out and run a 5K, not going to love it, but I could go out and do it without having to put as much grit into it. So I wanted it to be a bigger goal because I wanted to push myself harder.
She wanted something that sucked a whole lot worse than just a 5K.
But because at that level, I felt like if I didn't put in the work, I wasn't going to be able to do it. So I wanted it to be challenging enough that it was enticing and interesting, so that I would stay committed to my training, because if I didn't do the training, I wouldn't complete the goal. So achievable, but also something that I was going to actually have to put in the work and do what I said I was going to do.
And I just want to say congratulations. What an achievement. It's absolutely fantastic. And just one quick question is, like, the days where you really just couldn't get up and you didn't feel like, putting in the training, what was the mindset that got you out?
So I always told myself, do it tired so that you won't be so tired next time.
Okay.
He is not a big sleeper still to this day. So I was getting very used to just being tired, and it may not be optimal, but I still got it done. I still put in the time, I still put in the energy. It may not have been perfect, but progress over perfection.
Progress over perfection. See the mindset?
Moving forward in it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So.
Good question, Nisa. Yeah. So
Oh,
the two
wow,
mindset,
that's powerful. Thank you.
progress over perfection, and all of us, because we all tend to have a little bit of that perfectionist, a little too much of it in us. That's something that holds us back. And her concept is keep moving forward, making progress. I don't care if it looks messy, because, you know, trying to take care of this little guy and do everything else at the same time, and go to some off-grid location in her super truck that she's going to send me some GPS coordinates and scare the heck out of me all night. That is a mindset. So Sarah, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you, Beth, for coming. It's quite inspiring. I know I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, there's a lot I could do. And the busyness is an excuse for sure. So how was it growing up in a household with your dad? Because we love him so much, but I can only imagine what it is to be around him as a daughter at a younger age.
It was interesting. Well, it's hard when you're in that situation because you assume everybody, all households are this weird. One of my favorite memories is we used to have these awesome big blue 1.5 chairs, and my dad's always been a morning person, and I have been as well. So I used to get up in the morning and he would be down in the 1.5 chairs having coffee, and he would read whatever he was reading to me. So we've really made that an example when to Eli here is, I mean, he gets all kinds of children's books, don't get me wrong, but when he sees us reading as well, we'll read to him from the book that we're reading. It may not be interesting to him. He may not stay around for long, but he sees that we're also building our minds.
Right.
So I saw that a lot as a child. You know, I got to read all kinds of bloodline of the Holy Grail and history of Egypt and that kind of stuff growing up. But learned that learning was a priority, and been really trying to make an example of that for Eli as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, beautiful family. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Maria, you got a question? Yes, ma'am. Hang on, let me unmute you. Here we go. Yeah. Hang on, let me unmute you, Maria. Hang on. Click that button there, and then we can hear you. Hold on, it's still not unmuted. There we go.
Now
Yes.
it's okay.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you now.
Thank you so much. Just to tell your daughter that she's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Greetings from Africa, Mozambique.
Oh.
Well done for your job. And thank you to your daddy. He has been a daddy for us as he's preparing us to plan and to progress. Thank you, Steve and daughter and this small boy.
Thank you, Maria. And thank you for that. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate each one of you for being here. And I hope you, you know, see that the what do you call the weirdness goes through generations. So we're going to see what happens here with the youngest version. But as you can tell, you can see me being a proud father. I was standing there at the finish line with my grandson and seeing her come through at 3 hours and 33 minutes, right? 33, not 35. 3 hours and 33 minutes after going through, you know, 3 levels of physical endurance that, quite frankly, as much as I train, I could not do what she did. And, you know, being there and witnessing, you know, your own child do something and eclipse your level of performance. I don't know if there's anything from a parent standpoint that can make you more proud or more, I guess you would say, even impressed with your child, to see that they did something that they didn't have to do, but they did it just because they wanted to move themselves to the next level of performance. So that's what we're here for. You know, we have the same concept, is that victory loves preparation, right? Her preparation to compete and continue to compete at the Ironman level is all about planning, practicing, and preparation. She's constant to do that. I see that in every time when I see her on video, whether she's getting ready to jump into her off-road vehicle and overland somewhere, she's got to plan, prepare, and prep, because you can't afford to get out there at a GPS coordinate and, oh, I forgot XYZ, and you're what, 50 plus miles, 100 miles away from the nearest town or the nearest gasoline station or the nearest Walmart. Okay, you just can't run down the street. You've got to have it all planned, prepared. So that falls into line with everything that we talk about. Focusing on your life is that same level of planning, preparation, and practicing. She's called the glitter assassin. So that's her Peloton coach, that she rides on that bike for 2+ hours at a time, prepping for this event that no one makes her do. I mean, I didn't tell her to go join a triathlon. She did this on her own. And so anyway, I am so proud, and I wanted to share a little bit of this with you, because I love hanging out with each one of you and helping you move to your next level. So thank you for being here and hanging out with my daughter and my grandson. And I hope you guys have a fantastic week. And if there's anything else I can do for you, you know how to reach me, and I'll see you here the same time next week. All right.
And if you have any more questions, you can send them in and I'll answer them on Facebook.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You can send it. If you have any questions, let us know, and she'll. All right. Thank you. Y'all have a good one. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen family. Bye.
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 Bye.